mean, you got him at 3. I got him at 2.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Ramsey, I mean, the numbers aren't completely there, but what is it about his game that's like sticks out? Because we even talked about this whenever they did the trade. Wasn't it 2 first-round picks?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm like, damn, dude, that seems like a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're talking about value, I definitely think because the Ravens got Peters in this whole, whatever it was, this 3-team. It wasn't a 3-team move, but it was essentially the Rams trading Peters so they could get Ramsey.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Ravens got the way better value in getting Marcus Peters. They only gave up a 5th-round pick. Obviously, they gave him the contract, but dude, 2 first-rounders for Ramsey, and people are still talking about him like he's one of these elite guys. Like, what is it about him?
Well, we talk about the guys that shadow. He's a guy like that, but more so than that, man. When he's on, when he's inspired, when he's checked in, and when he's healthy. I mean, you can make the case that he's the best corner in the league. Just from an athletic standpoint, he can match up big receivers, little receivers, inside, outside. Like, it doesn't matter. And I like the fact that he talks smack the whole time, too. Like, that's part of his game. That's what he does. Right, wrong, or indifferent. I think the only reason why he's not... Well, the reason why I have him at 3 instead of having him at... I mean, it's hard to... I could never put him over 1 this year because Gilmore won Defensive Player of the Year. That changes everything. If Gilmore didn't win Defensive Player of the Year, well, yeah, you could make it even. And if Jalen had one of his typical seasons, like I said, last year was still a down year for him. But if he had his typical season, I would still make the case of him being 1 because, I mean, number 1, I've played with Gilmore for multiple years, but I've played against Ramsey for multiple times as well. Ramsey's the better athlete. Like, it's certain things Ramsey does. You're just like, Gilmore's a technician, yes, but from an athletic standpoint, he can't do that. You know what I mean? And that's why for me, like, and a lot of people in the league, they still will lean more Ramsey. But right now, I mean, the year Gilmore had last year, I mean, he was flawless, dude. It was crazy. I mean, and people will bring up, oh man, well, Devontae Parker got off on him. I'm like, if you're pointing to 1 or 2 plays in that game, hey, all right, but we got a full body of work.
It happens to everyone.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely, it happens. I mean, but the thing is, he's still...
people relish in that type of stuff.
Oh, they love it. Oh,
especially if you're a top cornerback and if you're talking.
Yeah.
Well, Gilmore doesn't talk, though.
He doesn't. Man, Gilmore's super introvert, bro. Like, he's not talking at all.
I don't know what it was. Maybe it's just the media
for the
attention.
Patriots, though, man.
That's probably it.
Play with the Patriots.
Because, like, I don't think anyone would relish in... Like, Patrick Peterson, you don't hear much about him. Like, if he was getting burnt, you would never hear about that.
But that's the thing. Gilmore's temperament is very similar to Patrick Peterson. In terms of them being very soft-spoken, they're not the rah-rah type. They get out there and just work, like, period. Whereas then you said you got a guy like Pat P. I mean, not Pat P. You got a guy like Jalen Ramsey. You got a guy like Richard Sherman, who they chirping the whole time.
People love when they get burned.
Yeah. so that's the thing. But it's mainly because Gilmore played number 1 in New England. So, you know, that's going to hold weight. And then also it's still...
People are talking about that defense being the best defense of all time, too. That was getting annoying. They were playing crappy teams in the first 7
when that
weeks.
happens, now everybody's like, we're going to find reasons to chop down anything and everything. And yeah. And it just so happened, too, that, okay, it was the last game of the regular season. And then think about, okay, instead of them getting the first round bye, then they end up having to play in the wild card. Then you lose to the Titans. So then it's like, oh, yeah, so even more so. Like,
yeah.
And you're like, dude, those 2 things, you can't try to compound them together. Like, that Tennessee game was a totally different situation. That had nothing to do with Gilmore. But the first game, you're like, oh, man, if Gilmore balls out here when there's pressure on, then that champ, like, you didn't think Gilmore had pressure all season lining up against these number 1 receivers? Okay.
You got White over him, though, still.
Over who?
Ramsey.
I did, just because what we talked about last year.
And I was talking about this in the Madden rankings. Like, dude, he's really good, man.
Yeah.
He's really good. I'm going Ramsey, though. Name and everything, just reputation. And like you said, just the potential that's always there to be the best cornerback in the league. Yeah. That's why I got to go with him, too. If White keeps it up, though, yeah why not?